Several winged creatures fly in the sky against a backdrop of bright glowing swirls. In 2077, the virtual game Apocalypse has become reality, and two monsters with wings and tentacles fight against the backdrop of a destroyed city. He hovers over the city against a red sky, surrounded by huge evil monsters with sharp teeth and glowing eyes. A monster with sharp teeth and a burning eye screams, and above it is said that the world order has collapsed and the world has turned into hell. He uses a magical staff and releases an energy blast, repelling the attack of the dark creatures while the night watches what is happening. He fights 3 orcs, fending off their attacks with glowing swords in a tense battle. She stands surrounded by demons with horns, and above them hovers a creature with wings and an axe protecting Chin Yanran. He reassures Yanran by saying that he has hired 10 experts to help her level up and provide the best. He said that he spared no expense and spent all his fortune to buy a divine artifact for her, and she happily held her head in her hands. She pointed to the glowing portal and said that Ye Xiao should immediately deliver any opportunity or equipment to Qin Yanan, who was standing next to him. Thanks to Ye Xiao, Qin Yanran finally became a powerful force in the Dragon Country, earning the admiration of everyone around her. The church announces that Ye Xiao and Qin Yanran are getting married today, and guests watch them from the hall taking pictures of the event. A newlywed couple embraces in front of confetti as a group of people discuss how a rich and loyal man like Ye Xiao is a dream come true, but they are advised not to have any illusions. He asked her if she would marry him while holding her hand and looking into her eyes against a pink background. He and she hug. She closes her eyes with a smile, expressing joy and relief. She pressed herself against him and said with a smile that now he belongs only to her. He exclaimed that he did not agree, and then laughed, reacting to someone's cry of, "Ah!" She laughs as she punches the man who tries to say her name in shock. The woman asked Ye Xiao if he thought money could buy her feelings, and he replied that gifts did not give the right to morally coerce him. She replied that he was wrong to accept the gifts, but not to agree with the feelings, and emphasized that everything was achieved by her own labor and not by cheap tricks. She says that being with him, she can hear his heart every day and asks if it's not touching while he holds her waist. He stands with his foot on a lying man and orders him to die while a woman in a wedding dress stands nearby, supporting him. He falls into the water, remembering that for Qin Yanran he gave everything without reserve. He lies in the fire and reflects on the betrayal and his heart turning to ashes, wondering if this is how it ends. He exclaims in rage and shock that this cannot be. He screams that he disagrees and is going to take revenge, surrounded by a blue energy glow. He asks Ye Xiao with a tense expression if he is deaf and if he heard him. He said he accepted the money to save her pride and warned her that if she continued to pester her, she should not contact him again. He remembers with surprise that there is a week left before the start of the Apocalypse game, and on the card is Qin Yanran's monthly allowance of 200,000 won. She explains that she suffered mentally because of money and did it for his benefit, despite the condemnation of her classmates. He turned around abruptly, as if he had heard something important behind him. He looks at her seriously, and she, crossing her arms, asks in surprise what he means. He asks with disbelief if this is really for his own good. She exclaims in surprise, not believing what she heard. He says that he will never give her anything again, and she exclaims in response, expressing dissatisfaction. She nervously adjusts her hair, sweating and looking back. He abruptly orders her to leave, and she tries to stop him, expressing concern. She speaks with a challenge, demonstrating determination and strength in her voice. She suddenly remembered that she had bought the shoes he was wearing and demanded that he take them off before leaving. She screams that a little money doesn't make him great and won't make her submit, addressing the man with black hair. He stands leaning on the railing and asks her not to appear in front of him again, as she looks at him in surprise. He said he had more important things to do than waste time on his interlocutor. The name Apocalypse is shown against the backdrop of mountains, along with a message about the beta test starting in a week, with a brief description of the activation of the recharge system. He says on the phone that he needs to raise enough funds before the test starts. She sits at her desk in the office and offers Ye Ling to buy 20 billion of her shares at once. She names the sum of 20 billion and demands that the documents be completed in 5 days, and her interlocutor is surprised that she is selling her shares. She says on the phone that 20 billion is fine, and laughs that Ye Xiao has finally decided to hand over the corporation to her, and then asks him to call when everything is ready. He said with a grin that he would now wait for the arrival of the Apocalypse beta. A welcome message appears on the screen congratulating you on receiving beta access to the game in its test version. A hand with 2 fingers raised radiates energy, creating a magical or energetic effect. He feels a familiar feeling and understands that this is the beginning of the Apocalypse game. He introduced himself as Knight Xiao and began to talk about his class. He summons a fire dragon and tells that in a past life, the guild was destroyed by a divine beast tamer. He decisively chooses the beast tamer class, stating that he has enough money and resources this time. He stands surrounded by a glow and says, "Haha," with a grin. He said that the most important moment was coming and pointed his finger at the button marked Top Up. He smiles, surrounded by gold coins and bars, and a message appears on the screen about the successful replenishment of 20 billion gold coins. The image shows large stacks of money and coins, with a voiceover exclaiming that the coins will increase in value tenfold in 3 days. He reacts with surprise to the system's message about receiving a unique hidden profession for an achievement in the game. The image shows ominous glowing red eyes against a dark background with bright white lines creating a tense atmosphere. He received the profession Wealth and looks forward with concentration, surrounded by gold and energy. He stares intently at the glowing ball of energy in his hand, surrounded by a dark, mystical background. He is surprised that a hidden profession is revealed through excessive spending of money and calls it the God of Wealth. He is amazed to see gold coins and glowing particles falling around him. He sits in a squat with brightly glowing eyes among the falling coins and is surprised that a young rascal can free him. He asks the man in red where the frog came from, expressing surprise. A toad in a suit with a stern expression condemns someone, calling him impudent. He introduced himself as Ebisu, the wealth mentor, and said that the interlocutor had become the 709th god of wealth under his guidance. He asked the little creature doubtfully if it thought it was selling financial products. The toad snaps his fingers threateningly and declares that he will show the real riches. The screen displays descriptions of the 2 innate talents of the god of wealth, increasing gold by 1% daily and preventing loss upon death. The screen displays 2 talents, extraordinary luck, with wealth, and unrivaled charm that makes any person attractive due to generosity. He is surprised to read the description of a divine power that gives random attribute points for gold coins spent. He explains that it's a hidden class with a variety of innate talents, and Toad notes that none of them seem offensive. He reflects on the power of wealth comes, and believes that with his current net worth of 2.2 billion, he will earn an additional 22 million daily. He explains that with the power of the god of wealth, one can earn 22 free attribute points daily, and asks if the other person understands the meaning of this. He holds the creature and says that the wealth god class is too strong, promising to show the true power of money, and the creature demands to release him immediately. He confidently presses the holographic button and says that with a golden finger, you can immediately go to the newbie village without waiting for your strength to grow. He just spawned in the game and noticed that the server had just opened and the creature next to him cried out in pain. He reflects on the challenges of becoming a beast tamer and the need to develop a strategy for rapid growth. He noticed a group of people approaching and thought about it, making a quiet sound. Orcs armed with clubs and shields notice the smell of human flesh and prepare for battle. He thinks anxiously about his failure when facing a 5th-level elite warrior. He warns of his unarmed state and the danger of an elite enemy as a giant toad leaps towards him and other figures are seen in the background. He runs, screaming, "Food! Stop running!" while being chased by a group of green creatures. He finally reached the main city and admitted that he almost died at the beginning of the journey, and another noted that he had never experienced such humiliation. The 4 discuss someone choosing a beast tamer, and one of them expresses disbelief, saying it is unbelievable and wondering what kind of beast he owns. He is surprised that his animal is a toad, and the little red character replies that he and his whole family are toads. He stands with a frog on his shoulder, and 2 men behind him laugh and say that the beast tamer is funny and has tamed the toad, advising him to buy the beast's egg. He says that he will not settle for ordinary animals, and the one sitting on his shoulder answers with a question about what he wants then. He says that he knows of a hidden dungeon with a divine creature's egg in a dragon's lair and urges you to follow him. He wonders why the other came here at level 1, explaining that only players above level 100 can hire guards. He walks up the stairs and a small creature on his shoulder asks him to wait. The man with the staff explained that the doors to the high hall would only open with a letter of introduction from the city lord. He stands in front of a tall being with a level of Grand Archmage 80, while another man kneels at the foot of the being. He, in a cloak with a staff, says that he does not have a letter, but heard about the loss of the Archmage and came to return the thing, and another, with a bird on his shoulder, listens to him. The young man asked the Archmage to look there, but he replied that there was no point in trying to deceive him. He noticed the gold coins and was surprised by their appearance. He pointed at the magician and said that there was something there too, and the other one, bending down, noticed that there was something else behind him too. An old man watches coins fall with joy, while a young man watches him from behind with a smile. An old man with a beard holds coins and says that he has gold, and a young man listens to him. The old man with the staff laughs happily, and the young man smiles, while the frog in the suit remarks that money works wonders. He walks through an empty hall with columns and chandeliers, holding a small figure on his shoulder. Two armored knights stand under the dome. One of them is marked as Supreme Hall Honor Knight, Golem LV 100, with an unknown value. The other is Supreme Hall Honor Knight Golem 5580. He listens to the small red creature, who says that the Supreme Hall lives up to its name, and with level 101 can dominate the rookie village, but he replies that he is not interested. The man in the armor with horns asked who let everyone in here, turning to another man at the door. He says that a divine-level guardian golem needs to be hired, but the other party questions their rarity and availability for hiring. The armored warrior says that hiring a level 80 guardian is enough, but he can't afford a god-level golem, turning to the young man. He confidently raises his finger and begins to speak, expressing an important thought or warning. He is wearing armor with horns on his helmet and stands in front of the raised hand of another man who seems to be explaining or pointing something out. He explains that the rules are made by humans and happens to know a divine spellcaster who can help, while the other listens with a worried look. He explains that divine-level mages are universal and offers to hire them right away, and he agrees and asks when the billion will be paid. The warrior in armor says that after signing the contract he will call them immediately, and the man with a small figure on his shoulder replies that the sooner the better, since he has a busy schedule. He is surprised to see a woman in a hat standing on a magic circle, and a frog on his shoulder says that everything happened too fast. She appears in a red outfit with a staff. An aura glows around her, and the screen shows her nickname, Dolores, and an unknown level. She, smiling, promised to take care of everything and asked what he needed, while he looked surprised and a little embarrassed. He smirks and says that there can't be any difficult dungeons in the newbie village unless it's the Goblin King or his whole family, and she listens with a smile. He suggested not to waste time and leave the matter to her, to which she agreed to lead them forward. She raised her fireball staff, causing a powerful flame to form around her. Two fireballs fly across the sky above the horizon, creating a spectacular flash against the sunset. He is surprised to notice that enemies are getting damage numbers that look like phone numbers. He stands on a giant fallen creature. She watches the burning bodies with a staff, and another man stands behind, assessing the situation. Three men discuss the incredible damage and doubt that the ally with the mage is not a cheater, but rather a high-level hired NPC. Notifications appear on the screen when you reach level 10 and receive 20 attribute points, including the bonus for reaching the novice village for the first time. He receives a notification that he has reached level 10 first in the world and is awarded the title Speed Ascender with bonus points. He stands there, and a toad in a suit says that he has already reached level 10, while other players have a maximum of 5. The group is discussing how someone has already reached level 10 in less than a day, suggesting that they are a super powerful player or even a game master, and one of them is afraid of being late in joining. He declared that he was the true god, and the other, based on the points and level he had received, said that it was time to go to their true destination. He asked how far they were, and if this was the hidden dungeon that had been mentioned as they walked along the path towards the mountains. He confidently declares that he is heading to the dragon's lair, and a red frog in clothes is watching him. On the world ranking board, Night Sorrow is ranked first with level 10 from Huaguo, and to get into the ranking, you need at least level 10. He jumps and attacks two green creatures with his sword, delivering a powerful blow from above. He, being a level 3 stealth warrior, is surprised that someone has already reached level 10 and does not know who Ye Xiao is. He, sword in hand, joyfully noted the appearance of a strong opponent who was approaching with a club. He and she are walking along a path in the mountains, and he says that this is the place. He touches the glowing stone with the dragon, and she watches nearby with her staff, waiting for the result of his actions. He summons a powerful magical force, lifting the stones as she stands next to him with a staff in her hands. Against the background of flying birds, a warning appears about entering a hidden and extremely dangerous area, the dragon's lair, with a call to immediately leave this place. He and she stand in front of the entrance to the castle with the dragon. She is surprised by the powerful aura. He explains that it is a hidden dungeon and asks how he found it. He admitted that he wasn't sure he could handle the dragon alone, and she replied that she wasn't stupid enough to fight him and suggested that they look around first. He tells her that many years ago, a berserker accidentally activated a hidden quest and disappeared, and she asks how he knows this. He smiles, holding a small figure on his shoulder, and she, in a hat and a red dress, stands next to him, watching him. The woman in the hat is surprised by the plans to steal the dragon's egg, and the toad doubts it because it is more difficult to kill the dragon and asks not to underestimate her powers. He said it was just a dragon and Sister Tao, a great sorceress, could destroy it in seconds. A huge dragon guards the treasures, and a level 5 Holy Justice Radiant Dragon skill inscription appears above it. They approached a treasure cave surrounded by sharp stones and were surprised by what they saw. She says that she brought a teleportation scroll because of a level 5 dragon and suggests that her friend enter first and she waits outside the cave. He explains that a 3rd-level dragon can destroy the guild, and she decides that the dragon egg is very valuable and must get it. He desperately tries to explain something, and she calmly refuses, saying that even double the fee will not help to win. He explains that they won't be fighting, but simply buying time, but she replies that no one can stand against a level 5 dragon. He holds up 3 fingers, and she looks ahead warily, not saying a word. She is wearing a red suit and a sorcerer's hat, holding a staff in her hand, casting a spell, expressing determination and strength. She raises her staff and declares that she will give it her all for 3 minutes, surrounded by a magical aura. He receives blessings from the gods of life, strength, and agility, and the voice praises his reliability and notes the importance of preparation for survival. She fights the dragon, explaining that the buff lasts for 3 minutes and the rest is up to him, who admires her strength and calls her scary. Standing on a dragon, she declares that even the monster will submit to her for 3 minutes and activates the skill Ice Arrow. A huge dragon breathes fire and lets out a loud roar surrounded by blue tongues of flame. He quietly warned to keep quiet, standing in the cave in front of the large egg while a huge red creature writhed nearby. He stands in a cave and touches a large egg with a scaly surface in surprise. She dodges the dragon's fire breath, announcing that she has 1.5 minutes left. He holds up a large egg and says he's never done anything so suspicious, while a frog-headed creature stands nearby and watches. A red frog in a vest jumps sharply from a metal device against a background of skulls. He holds a large egg anxiously as a creature with a lit torch approaches him in the darkness. A huge dragon roars and attacks a man with an egg amid fire and destruction. A red dragon scolds a man for insulting him, and he runs away carrying a large egg, while another screams to stop talking and run. They ask Sister Tao for help as she confidently protects them with her magical staff and shield. She raises her staff to the sky, noticing that the magical barrier is not holding up to the dragon's attack. She warns about the skill Breath of the Dragon King and urges you to run while the dragon breathes fire from its mouth. He wondered why she was also running, and she replied that she did not consider herself invincible and reminded him of the 3 minutes. The 2 heroes fight back, dodging a flying spear and an exploding projectile, with one of them crying out in pain. He said it was dangerous, but they managed to get the egg while she was watching nearby. She says that if the dragon egg hatches into a level 5 dragon, then all the effort was worth it, as long as he looks at the egg. She confidently states that this is her task and promises that payment will be made, increasing Tao Lacey's favor. He announces that it is time to make a contract with the creature, and the creature warns of the risk of losing 300 million, to which he replies that it should shut up. He touches the surface from which sparks and cracks emanate. The image shows the moment of destruction or explosion when the object breaks into many fragments with the effect of dynamic movement. He was surprised to hear the little dragon make "ah" sounds and asked what. He noted that the dragon's color seemed wrong, and she added that it didn't look like a newly hatched glowing dragon. He heard sounds and noticed a small dragon making strange sounds. He noticed that the dragonette's color seemed wrong and said that it didn't look like a glowing dragonette while standing next to her holding the staff. He sits on the treasure, posing with a confident look next to a toad with a pipe, and behind them towers a huge three-headed dragon. The image shows the stats of the mythical dragon Azure Sky Dragon with its basic stats and unique talents to suppress lower-tier creatures. The image shows the mythical dragon Azure Sky with a description of its abilities and stats, including health and mana regeneration. He was amazed to see that the stats of the Sky Dragon's skills were completely broken as he read the descriptions of their powerful effects and mana costs. He says the baby is really lucky, and she explains that the chick has incredible characteristics and huge potential for growth with destructive power. He was surprised by the strength of the dragon and decided to name him Little Gray because of his coloring. He says that with this baby he will no longer be mistaken for a pet, and the toad asks what he is holding in his hand. He asks what she has on her chest, and she indignantly corrects him that her name is Vibus, not Toad. He asks Toad where he got the badge from, and she demands it back, explaining that she simply picked it up in a dragon's nest. He holds a sign in his hand, and another character is surprised by the level of disaster, confirming this with incredible characteristics. He accuses the creature of risking his life and takes the thing from him, and it demands 10,000 coins a day for a temporary concession. He smiles, holding a small frog in clothes on his shoulder, and looks at it with interest. He confidently straightens his jacket, and the red frog sitting on his shoulder watches him silently. He is surprised by the hidden task and asks what the Fang of Ferocity is, and she responds by being puzzled that he doesn't know about it. He stands on a dragon and explains that he has the dagger of the assassin god, forged from the fangs of the abyssal beast. He sees a warning about the end of game time and says that his time is up and he will have to leave the game. He greets Brother Ye, and she smiles as she activates the magic circle in front of her. He explains that the game Doomsday is still in beta and is not fully merged with reality, so it is better to rest so that the body does not break down. Discussing the difficulty of Doomsday, marveling at Ye Xiao's rapid progress and suspecting him of using cheats. He sits at a table with a laptop and warns that when the game merges with reality, everyone will suffer. The phone suddenly rang on the table next to the bed. He reads a message asking him to come to the hospital, bring food for Zhou Hong, and pay his bills, promising to forget the past. He looks at his phone and says with irritation that he forgot about the crazy woman and should have blocked her first. He is surprised in the hospital room that Xiao has not contacted him and doubts that he will come after the sudden call. He asked her if she thought he would dare not come, and she replied that he loved him so much that he would definitely come if he called. Doctor asks why patient is being discharged early while woman stands by patient's bedside. She explains that the hospital is overcrowded with patients with organ failure due to the game Doomsday, and there are now not enough beds. He explains that he needs to pay the bill and vacate the bed, and she replies that she doesn't have money because she hasn't received the allowance from Ye Xiao. He asked if Xiao didn't give her 200,000 every month for expenses, and she said she didn't know. He just had dirty money, and she was disgusted by him. He tells her that he's going to open a game studio, and she assures him that when he comes, she will say sweet words, and he will give her the money without objection. The image shows a modern house with large windows and a balcony against a blue sky and trees. He lies in bed and sighs heavily. You can hear him say, He said that time was up and it was time to get into the game. A hand presses a virtual button labeled Enter Game to start a game in the digital space. He in the cloak says that you need to quickly level up and leave the village, and the toad in response complains that he was called too early. Around town, players are posting ads looking for a team and discussing the rapid growth in the number of participants. A group of players discuss how a newbie level 10 quickly climbed the ranks, with one of them advising them to team up, and another noticing that the level is visible above their head. He shouts to run, and the others agree to follow him in order to quickly level up and stay close. He shouts to run, and the others agree to follow him, believing that he knows the fastest way to level up. A group of people are running down the street. One of them is shouting not to slow down, and another is warning them to move faster or they will be caught. The group discusses the danger of the level 10 trial, with one doubting Ye Xiao would take it on alone and another thinking it was too risky. He stands in the mountains and says that they are not stupid despite the difficult situation around them. He approached the castle, where the knight on guard confirmed that this was the right place for the meeting. A knight in armor warns a young man that this place is not for him. The armored character is surprised that the stranger reached level 10 so quickly and asks where his team is. He stated that he would act alone and did not need a team, to which the other warned him about the difficulties even on normal difficulty. He assures the warrior that he still has a lot of life ahead of him, standing against the backdrop of ancient ruins. It stands on a glowing circle amidst ancient ruins, surrounded by stone columns and arches. He reviews the game's difficulty levels and says he's going to solo the Abyss mode. He stands against the backdrop of ruins, surrounded by a glowing purple light, staring ahead with concentration. An armored warrior announces the start of a challenge at the Abyss difficulty level, while another is surprised that he will be going through it alone. The image shows a gloomy forest with bare and leafy trees against a dark sky. He is surprised that the level 10 interlocutor is going to go through Abyss alone, and the other responds that the last time with the elite team almost failed because of the need to help Qin Yanran. He called the small gray dragon to come out, to which the creature responded by barking. He stands in the forest, and the flying dragon says that with Little Gray there is nothing to fear. He notices movement in the forest and warns of it, while in the shadows a creature with red eyes is seen. He sees a mutated level 10 snow wolf with huge stats in front of him and exclaims in amazement, "Holy crap!" He is surprised by the low health and says that even the shadow assassin would not be so desperate while the dragon and the little red man are watching. A large wolf growls at a small dragon who stands in front of him, preparing to defend himself. The green dragon releases a powerful fiery breath called Dragon King's Breath. The wolf takes a hit that deals 2,500 damage. The small dragon deals powerful blows to the large white beast, which takes significant damage. A huge wolf with brightly glowing eyes growls furiously at a small dragon with a crown, preparing to attack. He reports that the snow wolf has gone berserk. The dragon lets out a deafening roar, causing a whirlwind and lifting leaves into the air. The wolf makes a loud bark, demonstrating aggressive behavior and readiness to attack. The dragon fires at the wolf, who howls in response, taking serious damage. A message appears on the screen about the victory over the mutated ferocious snow wolf, which falls back with its mouth open. He is happy that his beast Little Gray immediately rose to level 4. The image shows a mythical dragon with wings soaring in the air, and the screen displays its characteristics and level. He reads the information about the dragon's ability, marveling at the rapid growth of the mythical creatures. He asked who what loot had dropped while a red anthropomorphic frog stood nearby, and 2 magic weapons were hanging. He excitedly shows off the 2 weapons and says that it is amazing and much better than what was before. He looks in surprise with his sword at the creature, which also noticed him and seems to be preparing for an unexpected meeting in the forest. The image shows a demonized tiger with characteristics and a description, and the voiceover expresses surprise at its appearance. He orders a small dragon named Little Gray to attack, pointing to a target in the dark forest. A huge blue beast with bright eyes roars and attacks the small dragon, who tries to dodge the attack. A level 10 demon tiger with powerful stats appears in front of them, and someone expresses concern over another monster of that level. He orders a dragon named Xiaohui to attack, pointing to a target in the forest. A huge blue beast roars and rushes at a small flying dragon. He wearily says that he didn't realize how tiring it was and complains about his legs, and she notes that he's already collected several items and will soon earn gold. He claims that he has come to defeat the main boss of the trial at the ancient ruins. He stands in front of the ancient ruins and reflects on how in the past the final boss was only at the Lord level, but now Xiaohui can easily deal with 2 demons. He stands in a blue portal and raises his hand towards the flying dragon, preparing for a joint attack. He walks down the stairs, calling for the dragon to come, who asks him why he sounds less and less reliable. He descends the stairs with the flying dragon, surprised by the message that he has fallen into the abyss. He states that in this life, he is a messenger of the abyss, standing in a dark room with a blue light behind him. He stands at a glowing portal, and a flying creature says that the abyss is completely open. He and the little dragon approach the throne where a warrior sat with a staff, radiating power and strength. The king of the abyss appears with unknown health and strength, wearing a helmet with horns, surrounded by blue flames and accompanied by information about his characteristics. He stands in the dark, showing his long braided hair and some of his clothes, creating a mysterious atmosphere. He asks in surprise about the Lord-level enemy, remembering that in his past life, it was different while the frog and dragon were sitting on his shoulder. He explains that with strength and agility at 0, the attack is slow and weak, but if it hits, death is inevitable. He warns Xiaohui not to use skills recklessly and orders them to follow his commands as the dragon hovers above them. He warns Xiaohui that the large enemy is slow and advises him to change positions, avoiding a drawn-out battle while the monster roars nearby. The green dragon breathes fire and makes loud sounds. A warrior in a horned helmet with a staff notices a small dragon shoot fire at his shoulder, screaming. He laughs with a horned helmet and orders you to not let the enemy use skills while a beam of fire comes out of his hand. He says with enthusiasm that it is necessary to hold and bring down a large opponent. He is wearing a helmet with a menacing smile and glowing eyes, looking forward as if preparing to attack or defend. He's in armor with a horned helmet and says that something seems to be happening, and a man in a cloak and a talking frog ask if this means that something will happen. One calls for a quick dodge, to which the other replies that it is obvious, while the demon with the staff prepares to attack. He exclaimed that it would kill them, as a powerful explosion of blue light erupted next to him. He notices that the attack is only aimed at him and asks Xiao Hui to hurry and save him. He holds another with a staff who screams that he can't hold on any longer, in a room with broken walls and blue light. The green dragon breathes fire, preparing to attack. A warrior in a horned helmet screams in pain as a fiery projectile hits him. A small dragon roars and attacks a man with his hand raised, surrounded by blue flames. A warrior in armor with a horned helmet stands against the backdrop of an explosion, while another character complains that she will soon fall from running and asks not to drag her to a dangerous place. He breathes heavily after completing the Abyss trial, receiving notifications that his beast Xiao Hui has reached level 10 and is rewarded with +5 to all attributes. He says with disbelief that he didn't expect such cowardice from Hui, and Hui asks if he's afraid to die. He approaches the defeated enemy and says that he wants to see what items dropped. The system announces that Ye Xiao of the Da Xia Nation has successfully passed the Abyss trial and received the legendary title of Abyss Envoy. Several people are discussing that someone has passed the Abyss test at the appropriate level for the first time in the world. A group of people stand in front of a board with the world rankings, and one of them is surprised that a player from their country, Da Xia, is there. He said that the leaderboard belonged to an outstanding person and instructed Xiao Qi to investigate, to which she replied that she understood and began to analyze the player from the newbie village. He says that they need to investigate, and the red-haired man in armor enthusiastically agrees, shouting, "Yes." The group discusses that someone has already reached level 10 on the second day and is in their starting village. He is sure that the game will lead them to fame, but she doubts that a simple game will help them reach the pinnacle of life. He offers to get her in touch with a wealthy gaming expert to help them level up, but she refuses, saying she won't be so shameless. He convinces Yanran that collaborating with an influential person will bring them wealth, but she doubts that the game will help them reach the pinnacle of life. He offers to contact Xiao to help them in the game, but she replies that she is not interested and not that desperate. She asks him to stop talking about something else and teach her how to play, since they are rarely together, and he agrees to first figure out the leveling up. He holds the glowing crystal in his hand, and the small creature on his shoulder is surprised that after all his efforts, only a fragment fell out. He holds a glowing blue crystal in his hand and is surprised that he has never seen such a fragment before. He stands in front of a glowing portal and says that he will find an opportunity to evaluate the item later. A warrior in armor tells of a difficult test, and another demands to be immediately connected to the main city in order to leave here. The armored warrior activates the glowing portal and confirms that he has understood the task. The knight congratulated the hero on passing the test and presented him with a guide's badge for free entry and exit from the city, to which he expressed gratitude. He says that for passing the test, he is entitled to an epic item, a badge of valor, and the other notes that it is a good souvenir item. He holds an epic valor badge with improved attributes in his hand and reads its description and characteristics. He calls out to Gray and Hui, urging them to keep up, standing at the glowing portal. The image shows a general view of the main town of Windleaf, with many buildings and a fortified wall. The characters enter the new Windleaf district. One is surprised by the silence, and the other notices that there used to be a lot of people here. He said that he needed to find Beastmaster Goodle, and the creature on his shoulder wondered why he was looking for him if he was already a beast tamer. 4 people walk along a deserted street in the old city in different directions without interacting with each other. He showed the seated Goodle what he was looking for, saying, "Here it is." A man with a bandage on his head refused to help another person with a transfer to another job, advising him to find someone else. He said with a serious look that not everyone can become a beast tamer and demanded that they prove their strength first. He received a hidden quest to kill 100 elite monsters, and the creature on his shoulder was surprised how he knew about the quest, to which he replied that he would not waste his time on it. A man with a frog on his shoulder tells an old man that he is not going to kill demons, and the old man tells him to leave and not waste his time. The man looks at the badge in surprise and asks if it is an epic badge of valor. The young man shows a sign, and the old man says with surprise that someone so young has already passed the test to the level of hell, to which he corrects, to the level of the abyss. He asked her how many people were on her team, raising a finger for emphasis. A man in a fur cape admires the talent of another, calling him a real dragon among people, standing in front of him outside a building. He is surprised that the creature on his shoulder recently called him a useless fool and quickly changes its attitude. The man with gray hair asked the young man to show what kind of creature could pass the abyss level test. The dragon with the crown confidently answers yes, and the man with gray hair and a headband looks at him with concern. He excitedly admitted that he saw the beast of his dreams and called it a divine being. The man explained that he couldn't go to Beast Whisperer because he wasn't worthy of the beast god, and the other man asked what he meant. He said that the other was happy to get into the hidden class, but he needed to take care of business first since the head beast tamer was far away in the royal city. He said that he had to follow him to find out, and the creature asked what things he was talking about as they walked down the street between the houses. Against the backdrop of buildings, a question is asked about how the interlocutor knows about the many hidden tasks. She walks across the square in front of the church, surrounded by 4 guards in red uniforms and helmets. He asks if the bird-headed creature is going to betray itself, and it explains that the woman is the widow of the city's former lord and is very rich. The guards stopped the man and demanded to know who he was while the woman watched them. She looks at him, and he explains something with a smile, standing by the arch against the backdrop of greenery. She says that she actually lost a personal item. Turning to the young man, he received a hidden mission from Lady Cheryl and said he would carry it out, while the creature on his shoulder noticed a new hidden mission. A security guard stopped a man and asked who he was while a woman watched from behind. He addresses her with respect, standing opposite her against a backdrop of greenery and an arch. She reports that she lost a personal item while standing in front of a building with a cross and a blue sky. He reports that he has received a hidden assignment from Lady Shirelli to bring her a beautiful flower and assures her that he will take care of it. He muses out loud that the flower the lady is looking for must be in the garden or outside the city, and wonders why they are wandering around the city. He says she's not looking for an ordinary flower, and the creature on his shoulder asks if he knows where her flower is. He stands in front of the store and says that it is here, and someone notices him with surprise as an honored guest from afar. He is surprised that there could be a beautiful flower in a tool shop, and the other explains that he heard that they sell treasure boxes there. He explains that the treasure chests he sells may contain prehistoric dragon bones or legendary staves, and asks about the price range. He said with a smile that this was the most expensive option. The seller shows the chest and says that it costs 10,000 gold coins, and the interlocutor listens to him standing against the wall. He confidently declares that he will take all the coins, no matter how many there are, holding a bag of gold. He demands to open and take all the chests from the man in the green cloak, who is holding one of them in his hands. He opened the chest and saw a bronze-class double-bladed battle axe. He opens a chest containing a large healing potion and sees a notification that he has received the item. He opened the chest and saw a magic bread that grows in size. He said that out of 100 treasure chests, only one remained and ordered it to be opened. He opened the chest with alarm and said that something had happened this time. He exclaims, "Whoa!" and remarks that it is indeed a very beautiful flower, although its purpose is unknown. He holds a glowing rose and says it's time to go. He relaxes with his feet in a bathtub filled with water in a bright room with large windows. She lies in the bathtub and asks Lise if he thinks someone will actually find that flower for her. The Duchess is relaxing in the bath, and the maid assures her that with her charm, luck will not fail her. The maid informs the woman in the bath that a young man outside has asked for an audience and has brought the flower she ordered. She is surprised that someone found this for her, and the maid looks on with confusion. The officer introduced the young man to the woman, saying that he was the one she was looking for. He handed her the chest and said that it was real and genuine. She says admiringly that it is a really beautiful flower as she holds it in her hands and opens the treasure chest. She thanks him for his help and offers to choose a reward, and he replies that he is not interested in money or rare artifacts. She says with a gentle smile that she has no choice but to offer herself. He is surprised by the seriousness of her intentions and doubts who can handle it, looking at her and the small creature on her shoulder. She explains that her interlocutor misunderstood the situation, and she reacts with surprise. He nervously reaches out his hands to her, and she lightly touches his neck, creating a tense atmosphere between them against the backdrop of the forest. He excitedly explains that he needs help in obtaining civil status. He is surprised, and she smiles and says that all he needed was citizenship and that it is too easy, while a notification about her favor increase appears in the background. She ordered the documents and the seal to be prepared. The servant agreed, and then she added a request to purchase real estate. She reads the note and notes that buying real estate is a stable choice, implying a refusal to wander. They discuss real estate, noting that the western area he is considering is not a busy place and are unsure whether it is worth buying there. She said she would put him in touch with real estate agents in the western area, and he thanked her. He says with confidence that wealth has been created, and the little creature on his shoulder is surprised and tries to understand what he said. He warns that the town of Windleaf will soon be attacked by strange creatures as buildings collapse and rocks fall around. A crowd walks down the street. One of them explains that the Western District will be the most valuable in the city, while another laughs, assuring that he cannot lose his investment. She says she's putting him in touch with a real estate agent in the West End, and he thanks her with a red frog sitting on his shoulder. He says that wealth is not built on unprofitable deals, and the creature on his shoulder is surprised and asks what to do. He warns that the city of Windleaf will soon be attacked by mysterious creatures, and the current lord will die, and the Eastern District will be destroyed. A group of people walk down a city street. One of them explains that the western area will suffer less because of its low population density, while another laughs, saying that he can't lose the deal. The woman informs Xiao about the completion of the real estate transactions, and he is surprised by the favorable price and is ready to pay immediately. A man handed a girl a citizenship document while another man watched. He holds up the scroll and reacts in surprise, and she explains that he is not just a citizen of Windleaf City, but a first-class subject of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. He is surprised that even powerful military leaders do not have first-class citizenship in the Empire, and she is standing next to him, and he assumes that she may be of royal descent. She asked him with a smile if he wanted to be royalty, and he noted that it was no wonder that Madame exuded nobility. He took her hand, and she listened attentively to his words in a room with large windows. He kisses her hand tenderly, and she looks at him with a smile, adorned with a wreath of flowers on her head. He asked Sophia if everything was okay, and she said yes, and he called her beautiful. He smirks at the other man for admiring her too much, asking if he has sold his looks. A message appears on the screen, stating that player Knight Zia has received first-class citizenship of the Dragon Phoenix Empire, and the Prestige leaderboard is now available. One is surprised by the game's realistic housing and citizenship system, while another is shocked by the extra hour of game time for all Great Xia players. One man is indignant about his rank, another is complaining about his in-game status, and a third is demanding that the complaints stop and asking if anyone knows the developers. She is surprised by the level Night Xiao, and he finds his name strange as they prepare to fight three green creatures with mountains in the background. She sits on the ground and says that with such a strong player they would already be at level 4 or 5. A group of warriors are fighting goblins, and one of them says that now they have a hard time killing even one slime. He asked if she was unhappy with the team, and she said he didn't do anything but gain levels just by joining, and he was still unhappy. He explained that there had been a mistake, and that his friend had meant no harm, but she reacted angrily and said that she would leave. They are about to leave when he asks Yanran what she is doing, and she replies that he is acting like a princess, thinking that because he is beautiful, he can do this. He complained that now they were alone and didn't know how to level up, and she accused him of indifference and lack of protection when she was insulted. She indignantly asks why she should contact someone first, and he tries to persuade her to play Apocalypse with them. He asks her to seek help from Night Xiao to level up for him, despite her pride. He said he would wait for good news, and she replied that she would see him tomorrow and was already getting ready to leave. He reflects that although Xiao's late-night spending style is rude, he can't completely blame him and decides to give him another chance. She lies in bed and looks at the phone screen with a serious expression. She concentrates on sending a message on her phone, saying the word send. She sits on the bed and wonders why Xiao Knight hasn't responded yet. She is shocked to learn that Night Xiao has removed her from his friends list. They shout from the window of the building that from today their relationship is completely over and ask not to beg for mercy. On a street in the East Windleaf City area, many pedestrians move along the sidewalk between buildings. He stands at the entrance to the building and says that this is the right place. The seller explained that their store only accepts silver and higher equipment, and bronze is best handed in outside the city. He holds up the pendant and asks if the other can appraise the dark gold level item. He said with surprise that it was indeed dark gold, showing the amulet, while the other watched him with a smile. He says the shop owner will personally handle high-quality gold to ensure success, while another demands to know the percentage of successful transactions. He says that the dark gold is worth 100 gold coins to be appraised, and the other agrees to start appraising all of his items. He is surprised to see a gun on the table and says that the man is clearly rich, while the other one looks at him silently. He holds an item in his hand with the following stats: Night Pendant, level 10, dark gold, Spirit plus 40, Strength plus 40, Dark Attribute damage minus 20%. He holds a magnifying glass anxiously, examining the weapon on the table, while another explains the situation, standing next to a small creature on his shoulder. He is surprised to see another man standing next to him with a gun and says that he is well armed. He holds a ring in his hand with stats showing his level, quality, and bonuses to Spirit and Strength, as well as damage reduction from the Dark Attribute. He examines the weapons on the table with a magnifying glass, while another explains that these are rare armor and weapons, while a small red man sits on his shoulder. He stands at the house with the small creature on his hand and notices that its characteristics have improved. He asks what to do next, and the creature on his shoulder replies that Sophia hasn't sent any news yet. The path between the sharp rocks is illuminated by the twilight, and in the sky above it, many bats fly. He stands in a clearing, and the character speaking to him notes that this place is an area with level 20 monsters. He stands in front of a group of aggressive hyenas with red eyes. The system warns him of their danger and advises him to protect his weak points. He loudly called out to the dragon named Xiao Hui, pointing at something ahead as the creature flew towards its target. The dragon releases a fiery breath, damaging 2 gray hyenas and successfully killing them, as confirmed by the experience-gained reports. He explains that high-level enemies automatically attack them, so you can farm here safely, and another calls him a little rascal who knows how to enjoy life. He calmly drinks tea and reflects on the difficult days as the dragon lifts 2 animals amid an explosion. He reached level 12, and his pet Xiaohui also leveled up to level 12, which is displayed on the screen around him. He stands among many fallen creatures and thinks that in this situation it will be difficult to reach level 20. He stands on a hill next to the sword and says in surprise, "Them?" He asked about the spell in surprise, holding up a scroll describing a fireball as the creature behind him looked at him. He confidently stated that new skills would not hurt and was going to learn them first, after which he received confirmation of successful mastery of the fireball. He stands against the backdrop of mountains, and a description of the fireball spell appears on the screen, with details of its use and characteristics. He casts the spell Fireball and releases a fireball towards the approaching beast. The wolf with glowing eyes takes 31 damage from the explosion behind him. He says something is humiliatingly low, and the creature next to him points at him in surprise. He looks at the holographic screen and says that in 2 hours the 3rd day from the beginning of the event will end. He warns that everyone over the age of 16 in the Empire will be forced into a dangerous game, and the world will soon change dramatically. At night, a loud knocking sound is heard over the city, lighting up the streets and buildings. Lightning flashes against a dark sky, creating a tense atmosphere ahead of a possible event. The image shows a building with a tower and a clock against a sky background, with no visible characters or dialogue. Men discuss a strange message. Entering the game with lightning and a building in the background, one of them asks if it is an earthquake and what entering the game means. Several people suddenly found themselves in a meadow, discussing that they were in a different place and wondering if they were dreaming the whole thing. He is surprised to find himself in another world and considers himself the chosen one, then notices old Lee and asks if he expected to meet here. She wonders why she automatically logged into the game, and he replies that he finds it strange too, telling her that he just had a late-night snack with Wan Wan. He says that they are not the only ones who got sucked into the game and asks her if she contacted Ye Xiao to ask for help with leveling up. She states that she will no longer care for him, and he plans to contact the legendary Ye Xiao in the game to level them up. She confidently states that it is not time yet, hinting at her powers. Against the backdrop of mountains and sky, it is reported that all residents of the Xia Empire over the age of 16 have been forcibly registered in the game Apocalypse. The man with the mustache announces that the exit option has disappeared, and players can no longer leave on their own while others are standing on the field. A group of people with weapons fight orcs in an open field, and an explanation appears on the screen about the dependence of the player's starting point on his real location. The two are lying on the ground, and a warning appears on the screen that if the player dies in the game, he will not be able to return to the real world. Three men around a campfire discuss how Ye Xiao, the top player, has leveled up quickly and may be cheating or administrating the game. Two men on top of a mountain discuss how they haven't found a way to exit the game yet and may be stuck in it forever. Budong Russian notes that the situation has become serious and asks where Ye Xiao, the top-ranked player, is. He said it was not time to leave yet, and the other asked what about Chen Kuang. He asked why the beta tester was only level 4, addressing a man in a cloak standing against a backdrop of mountains. One man orders to spread the word and find someone at any cost, and another agrees with him. He receives a message inviting him to come to the Duke's estate, where there is news on his investigation. He stands outside the church with the small creature on his shoulder and says that he did not expect such quick news about the royal beast tamer and finds it exciting. She stands at the stairs and he stands on the carpet opposite, a tense silence between them in the great hall. She stands in a long purple dress with a floral pattern and a wreath on her head against the backdrop of a staircase and a fireplace. He said he came and thought out loud that she was very attractive. She asks him about the royal beast tamer, and he covers his mouth with his hand thoughtfully. He explained that it was a false alarm, and she replied that he asked her for help. He is surprised that the treasure ended up in Fengye City and not in a distant land as he expected. She talks about a powerful dragon and a hidden dungeon, and he asks if she's talking about a cave labyrinth. She asked him if he knew the name of the dungeon, to which he began to answer with a smile. He is surprised by the appearance of a dragon, and she is sure that it is a level 80 demonic boss. She says she'll go check it out herself, and he asks in surprise if she's going to go alone. He says with a smile that he stole a dragon egg and the dungeon is nothing to him. He says with confidence that even a dragon can be defeated by holding a glowing stone, and she is surprised by his words. He says that his sister Tao is needed for this job and touches the glowing portal. She wonders how Ye Xiao can have a Supreme Hall token at only level 12. She raised her hand confidently, as if preparing to use force, and proudly declared her determination. She asked Ye Xiao if he missed his older sister, to which he began to reply. She asked anxiously if it would be another dragon, and he answered with a slight grin. She asked in surprise if the dragon had any grudge against them. She says that last time she stole a dragon egg. He offers a deal with a 2 billion gold reward, and she looks worried as a woman in the background watches them. He says that if he can provide the location of the Holy Spirit Spring, it will take a month, and she listens thoughtfully, holding her staff. She, with a staff in her hand, asked sharply if he knew the location of the Holy Spring. He shows his hand and says something, and she looks at him in surprise in a room with arches. She asked where the Holy Spring was. He replied that it was in the Lost Land, and the third person asked if there were exact coordinates. She says that Ye Xiao is really special as the other two walk out the door. She thoughtfully asks if he will become a god-level player. The group stands around the unconscious Wang Qiang, who was killed twice by goblins, and after being resurrected, his body began to fail. Pink Hair screams that she wants to go home, and the man with gray hair asks her not to scream, explaining that no one knows how to log out of the system. The image shows mountains covered in fog with no visible characters or dialogue. They walk along a mountain path, and the little companion remarks that this is a beautiful place where a dragon is unlikely to hide, to which he replies that quiet places are usually more dangerous. She suggested avoiding fighting on the way to the dungeon, and he agreed, noting that they would have been surrounded by now. A dragon soars into the sky above the mountains, and a flock of birds flies in the distance against a blue sky with clouds. He asked if the other was sure he knew the entrance, warning that the 5th-level dragon was dangerous and did not want to be noticed by him. He pointed to a steep slope on the mountain while she listened intently, holding her staff. He pointed at something and said that he was right, standing next to her in the mountain gorge. They stand in front of a huge door in the rock, and above the mountains sits a dragon with outstretched wings. She touched the wall with the magic circle and noted that the teleportation formation was well made, but there was no trace of mana in it, which was a problem. He said he would do it, standing next to her by the cliff with the blue sky in the background. He smiles while holding a knife and showing his gloved hand against the sky. He activates the magic circle on the door, and she wonders how he knows how to open it. He reaches out to a mysterious gate with magical symbols that begin to glow and make sounds. He laughs and says he has his own ways, offering to follow him, and she wonders how many secrets he might have. A warning appears on the screen about entering an extremely dangerous area and a labyrinth of a dark cave with one exit that must be found in a limited time, otherwise the hero will remain trapped forever. He sees a warning about creepy creatures in the labyrinth and asks another to lead him to safety. He is surprised that the zone is creepy and limited to 3 hours, and she remembers that before the limit was 3 days. He warns Ye Xiao about the great danger of the mission, and she replies that she is a powerful mage and is ready for it. She defiantly thinks that this impudent fellow won't scare her, and she denies fear out loud. He said they needed to move quickly, and she asked if Sister Tao knew concealment magic. She says irritably that concealment magic is a low-level spell that she didn't learn even in her apprenticeship, and he turns to her with a smile. He confidently said that it was a child's play, and she admired his strength, comparing him to a high-level magician. He warns her about 5 monsters in the labyrinth, including an elite boss and a strong normal monster, and advises her to be careful. He claims to have walked this labyrinth 800 times in a past life, and she, shocked, asks what else he knows. 3 dragon-like creatures stand near a skeleton on the floor between the columns, carefully examining the space. He and she stand in front of a maze of spikes, and she indignantly asks if he knows their levels and is trying to teach her. He said he would go first and asked Tao to watch carefully while a girl with a spear stood nearby and a large blue creature growled. He quickly jumps onto the back of a huge dragon, which roars and prepares to attack. She says in surprise that he walked past a level 60 elite enemy who didn't even notice him and admits his mistake. She deftly jumps over the thorns, and he watches her from a safe distance. He warned her to remain prepared for battle as they walked through the ruins with the small creature. He noticed that the situation was different from his past life, standing in front of a large creature in a cave. A huge creature with horns stands near a chest in a cave, and information about the keeper of the labyrinth, a yin spirit with unknown characteristics, appears on the screen. He asks Sister Tao if she can determine the creature's level, to which she replies that it is a level 100 berserker. He is about to open a treasure chest and asks Sister Tao to prepare for an attack, and she promises to cast an absolute defense buff on him. The monster warns Lao Hui not to act rashly to avoid danger. He stands by the chest and says that the hidden class scroll is almost in his hands. He opened the chest and was surprised to notice that even the treasure inside was different. A man with a chest looks in fear at a huge demon with horns and glowing eyes that suddenly appeared in front of him. He uses a freezing spell against a huge fanged monster standing in front of him in the cave. She, holding a staff and blue flames in her hand, screams, demanding an explanation as to why someone is not running. He runs screaming that he needs help from Sister Tao while being chased by a huge, ferocious monster. She raises her hand with the magical symbol and casts a spell as he follows her into the dark room. A huge horned creature is stunned and surrounded by electrical discharges, making a loud noise. He holds a stone with a powerful cooldown reset ability in his hand, and the little companion says that he is incredibly lucky. He was surprised by the appearance of another item of the Heaven's Doom rank, and explained that the cooldown of the Cruelty chapter would now be reduced to 3 days. He, in the form of a beast with spikes on his head and fangs on his face, sat down in a cave, preparing for action. He orders them to fight and calls on Sister Tao to use all her power, to which she agrees to reveal her full potential. She raises her staff, summoning magical lightning to attack a huge demon with horns and red eyes. A huge, ferocious creature with fangs and horns lets out a terrifying roar. He is surprised and asks why the boss is yelling, and the frog sitting on his shoulder is worried that the boss will go crazy. He looks at the huge demonic hand breaking through the ceiling and senses an impending threat. A huge dragon spews fire, and someone screams in panic that it is a dragon and calls for people to run. He and she are running from a huge explosion, and he is screaming at them to run as fast as they can. He and she are running from a running beast with a boar's head. She wonders how the beast could summon a dragon. He advises her to ask him herself. A huge beast with red eyes rushes towards them, and a girl warns of an attack, while another says that the creature is immune to slowdown and orders them to run. The monster threatens to destroy the enemy first, and he warns that the creature has a level of 100 and he only has 12, and asks not to be stupid. He figures now is the perfect time to test his firepower while she watches from behind. He screams furiously, calling for the enemy to die, and releases a magical attack from the amulet in his hand. It shoots a laser beam at a monster, dealing 242 damage. He is surprised that he did so little damage, and the creature on his shoulder warns that it will not save him if he dies. A monster with horns and red eyes suddenly spews blood, adding tension to the scene. The giant monster takes a fatal hit to the chest, and a damage number appears above it, 932642. He stands in front of the defeated monster. A warning appears on the screen about the instant death effect triggering when health drops below 20%. Messages appear on the screen about defeating a level 100 boss and increasing the character's level to 13. Messages appear on the screen about the character level increased to 20 and his companion, Little Gray, to 13 and 20. He smiles as he receives a notification that he has reached the maximum level and cannot increase further. She is surprised that a level 100 demon boss was defeated by a level 12 rookie while he is silent nearby. Three characters discuss the news of the death of a level 100 boss, expressing confusion and doubt that they are playing the same game. The four men discuss that the game might be bugged or that Yahello might be inhuman, expressing disbelief at what is happening. A group of people discuss their respect for Yahello. One of them wants to recognize him as their godfather, while another expresses surprise that they have no shame since they already have fathers. The man in armor thinks it's cheating, another agrees it's hacking. A third is happy that Daxia will receive rewards, and a fourth is amazed at the level of the Daxia player. Rocks fall from a great height, creating a loud noise and a tense atmosphere. She screams that the boss is dead, the dragon is angry, the cave is collapsing, and asks if he's just going to stand there and die. He warns that he has opened a portal and needs to leave, and she screams to forget the loot and save herself, after which he agrees to leave. Rocks fall from the sky to the ground, causing destruction and rumble. The image shows fragments of a large rock formation scattered across a grassy clearing at the foot of the mountains. He says he hasn't felt this excited in a long time, and she replies that she almost died and is going to spend money to calm her nerves. She stands with a staff, and he says with surprise that you need to wait until a small creature sits on his shoulder. A dragon with unknown level and attributes named Holy Judgment Skyfire Dragon appears in the sky. She warns him that the monster breathes fire, and he must be careful as they stand before the huge beast. He and she are running from the explosion. He asks why they are running again. She replies that otherwise they will die, and asks to send a place in payment for the source of the Holy Spirit. The image shows a view of Fungi City with church and dome-style architecture with no visible characters. She was surprised that he was able to get the item out of the maze while the guard was standing next to the building with the cross. She admiringly tells him he's amazing, and he humbly replies that it was nothing, holding a small red frog on his shoulder. She asks how to unlock a hidden class using a scroll, and he starts explaining what is written on the parchment. He asks what the class change scroll means, and she explains that Uncle Stir said it was important. She said she couldn't climb the stairs, and he offered to help her. The room with high shelves and columns is in semi-darkness, through which a ray of light shines. He admitted that he did not know about the hidden room in the estate, and did not discover it in his past life, while the three were in a spacious room with high windows. Stor greets the young man and states that he is the one he is looking for. He greets Master Stare, stating that he has come to unlock a hidden classroom, while she and another man listen to him in the room with the stairs. He holds up a document and says he will help with the transition, asking if the other person is ready. He says he can't wait any longer, and the other replies that the scroll will awaken deep powers. He tells the master that he's come to change classes to a hidden profession, while two people listen to him in the room with the stairs. He holds a folder and says that he will supervise the class transfer. He says he can't wait any longer and receives a parchment that another says will awaken the deepest powers. One man advises another to stay calm, not to panic and not to resist, to which the other replies that he understands. The image shows two glowing spheres, one of which is brightly sparkling, creating the effect of a magical or energetic phenomenon. He concentrates on controlling three glowing blue spheres that hover around him. He stands holding two glowing blue balls in his hand that float next to him. He reports with surprise that all 5 crystal balls have been activated, expressing disbelief at what is happening. She asked Uncle Stir if he meant the top-class transmission, and he looked worried. He explains that when he changed classes, he was only able to activate 3 abilities, surrounded by glowing blue orbs. The man with the mustache is surprised that the other, by activating all 5 crystal balls, may have crossed the boundaries of humanity. She thoughtfully asked if Night Xiao could be more than just an ordinary person. He says that as expected from a hidden profession, his body is overflowing with power while glowing blue spheres float around him. He reads the information about the Beast Lord class, and is amazed by the incredible stats and talents related to divine power and control over beasts. He is surprised that someone has unlocked the legendary Beast God class, while another explains that it gives huge bonuses and a blueprint to create a set. He reads the epic rank blueprint and notes that it requires rare materials to create, so he'll have to hunt monsters. The mustache man admires Night Xiao, who thanks Master Stare for completing the transmission and receives praise for his limitless potential in the divine realm. He smiles and says that he is destined to reach the top in this life, and the frog on his hand notes that he is truly special. He addresses the guard at the gate, declaring his desire to undergo the Abyss's trial, while two girls and a man stand before him. A warrior in armor asks a man and woman what level of challenge they are about to take after noticing their good equipment. He announces that he will go alone to the Abyss level test, standing next to two companions. One of them is surprised that the other is trying to pass the test alone, and the other replies that he lives for this. The guard says they'll wait outside for good news, to which he replies they won't have to wait long. A heavily armored warrior with a staff notices that visitors from another world are built completely differently. An injured man screams for help, and one of the women asks what happened, to which the other replies that the monsters have mutated, and it's terrible. An injured man clutches his chest, a woman asks for a potion, and another with red hair swears about the situation. The image shows a mountainous landscape with sharp peaks, and the inscription about the location, Great Rift, Level 20, Abyssal Trial. He sits by the rock and decides to hide his identity so as not to attract attention. He watches as the dragon releases fire at the stone giant as it prepares to attack. The dragon deals a powerful blow to the stone golem, causing a bright flash and destruction. The mechanical creature slams into the ground with force, causing an explosion and flying debris. He stands next to a flying dragon and two glowing weapons, praising the beast for its good work. He, sword in hand, looks in surprise at the huge foot that stepped on the ground next to him. He asks in surprise what it is, and the other one notices that it looks like the boss is approaching. Information about its stats appears in front of the giant stone monster, and it notices that the boss is only level 20, which is good. He tells Hui to go first, promising to cover him while the dragon attacks them, with Hui standing nearby ready to fight. She is shocked to learn that the boss actually died in the test, while another woman supports the injured man, and an armored warrior watches. She assumed that Xiao had found a loophole in the Abyss trial, and he agreed with it. She and he stand against the backdrop of mountains, looking into the distance and have a conversation without turning to the viewer. He approaches the defeated enemy with a sword, and the dragon screams and says that the victory was easy. He stands next to the fallen stone giant and notices that there is no loot, just another fragment of the abyssal stone. She is surprised that Night Xiao passed the Abyss's test, assuming that he found a loophole, and the other agrees with this. He says he dealt with the sword easily while the dragon roars over the destroyed stone figure. He stands next to the destroyed stone golem and says that it did not drop its equipment, but holds a fragment of the abyss in its hand. He looks at the glowing crystal and ponders that the fragments could be used to create a divine-level item. He decides not to dwell on it and says he'll figure it out later, then plans to go back through the portal with the mountains in the background. He stands against a swirl of energy and looks forward with a determined expression on his face. The knight in armor says that the test has been passed and hands over the reward to the man standing in front of him at the glowing portal. He looks at the stone from the chest with surprise and says that it is intended to improve the emblem of valor. He smiles as he connects two glowing objects that emit magical energy. He happily shows off the legendary symbol of valor, which increases stats and activates power when health is low. He says that with this he will become unstoppable in the level 30 zone and calls old Hui to come with him. He notices a maintenance message and asks if they are going to exit the game and return to reality. The armored group discusses the sudden system maintenance and rejoices at the opportunity to finally leave the game and return to the real world. Several armored warriors appear in the air above the street, surrounded by glowing circles. The text states that after Daxia, the U.S. was plunged into an apocalypse due to a supernatural game, and discusses the death of a fierce tiger player in the Abyss Challenge and the consequences for normal players. On air, the host interviews player Qingfeng Kuizhu, who talks about the latest updates and strategies for quickly leveling up in the game. He sits on the sofa and says that he has never heard of the name Qingfeng Kuizhu, then expresses interest in knowing what he has. She interviews him and he explains that he was just lucky and the team barely managed the task. A woman asks him about his opinion on players automatically entering Doomsday when they fall asleep, and he says even the official ones can't explain it, and it's hard to survive. A woman asks a man what he thinks of Night Xiao's achievements, and he replies that he is far superior to all top players. He watches TV where a man says that even all the best players together can't handle it, and he would control the world if he had such a man in his ranks. The man in the white suit orders Fu Bo to use all his resources to investigate the events of the night, to which he agrees to begin the case immediately. He explains that for beast tamers, level 30 is a major milestone that unlocks an extra slot for a pet and suggests focusing on reaching that level. Shown is a deserted mountain landscape with large rocks and a location caption, Level 30, Gray Misty Valley Area. He orders Hui to use a stunning strike attack on the approaching rock creatures. A green dragon with a crown on its head flies into attack, making a loud roar. The two stone golems are stunned and lose their balance, falling to the ground under the force of the impact. A green dragon spews fire into the sky, creating a powerful stream of flame against a blue sky with clouds. The green dragon releases a fiery breath, destroying the rocks, and someone approvingly says that it is a good job. He is happy about the new level, and his beast Old Hui also increases to level 24. A group of people discuss the incredible rise of the world-ranking leader, expressing disbelief and surprise at his achievements. He explained that he thought the leveling would slow down at higher levels so that others could catch up. He says the gap between Night Xiao and Qingfeng Kuizhu is only widening. He said that they were never on the same level as Night Xiao and praised the boss, who replied that there is always someone better, but second place is not bad, and another added that they control third, fourth, fifth, and sixth places. Two dragons are lying in the crater. One says that the egg has been missing for several days, and the other is still sleeping in a dark corner. Two dragons, red and gray, stand facing each other, and the red one says that he carries the destiny of their race as the prophet of dragons. The dragon says that the presence of man disgusts them. He asks if the interlocutor is talking about those damned gods. The red dragon declared himself a prophet and was ready to entrust the future of the race to a mortal, to which the dark one replied that this was reckless. Two dragons fly rapidly over the mountains, and one of them announces that there's no more time left. The red dragon says that the man emits an aura that repels them. He asks if he means that disgusting divine power. The red dragon declares that he is the prophet of the tribe and is ready to entrust the future of the race to mortals, and the dark one objects that this is too reckless. Two dragons fly rapidly over the mountains, and one of them warns that there is no time. The dragon warns that darkness will consume everything, and this mortal is their last hope. He said it was their last hope and led the way, while the other doubted whether to trust the dragon's fate to a mortal. The three men discussed that other than Night Xiao, they should be the first players to reach the main city of Windleaf and agree to it. Two dragons are flying in the sky, and one of them is screaming for help. He screams for help as a clawed paw grabs him, and the small creature taunts him, asking if there is anyone strong enough to save him. The three men look up at the sky where two dragons are flying, one of them on fire, and discuss the huge dragon, which they think is carrying someone and cannot be Xiao. One of them asks if it's worth following the dragon, and the other replies that it's the judgment dragon, and even sneezing from it is fatal. A news item appears on the screen about a dragon boss appearing near the town of Windleaf and capturing an unfortunate player, possibly named Night God. The four discuss Night Xiao being captured by two dragons, marveling at his rapid growth and interaction with such powerful creatures. On the magic circle stand two dragons and a man, and next to it on the rock sits a large dragon against the backdrop of volcanoes and a castle. He wonders why two dragons seem familiar, and the other reminds him that he warned him not to mess with them because of their past good deeds. He lies and anxiously tells that one person had an egg stolen and another had his house robbed. He is not afraid despite the dragon's question, and says that it can kill or disfigure him at will. The dragon explained that the egg that the man had taken was the last hope of their race, and bringing it here was a great opportunity. The dragon is indignant because of the shameful name, and he replies that Little Gray loves this name very much. Two dragons are talking to each other, and a man and a small creature are watching them. One of the dragons agrees with something. Two dragons call out to the dragon god, who looks at them from the ground in surprise. He begs for mercy and promises to grant any wish, explaining that the theft of the dragon egg has nothing to do with him. A huge dragon spews flames against the backdrop of volcanoes and a castle, while a magical seal with mysterious symbols is visible in the foreground. A monster with sharp teeth radiates energy from its eyes, surrounded by glowing streams, creating a tense and dangerous atmosphere. He stands in front of a dragon that releases a fiery breath aimed straight at him. He receives some of the dragon god's power, feeling the energy flow through his body. The news reports that Daxia occupies the entire top 100 rankings. Jingyi Yesen has risen to second place, and Nightshao has not leveled up for 3 days. The group discusses the mysterious disappearance of the night god, suggesting that something unexpected has happened, and one of them compares him to a dragon, wondering about the plot. 2 men discuss how Nightshao is being punished for cheating the dragons, and one claims that he will not return for 30 days. He lies on the ground and complains of a headache. Next to him sits a creature in a red suit. He asked where they were, and the winged creature replied that it looked like a level 40 area. The sky background displays the levels and talents of the Luck God class, including Endless Luck, Stinginess, Great Luck, Peerless Charm, and the Power of the Luck God. He studies the holographic screen and muses that the Dragon God's blessing did not change his stats and probably did not affect his skills. He marvels at the new Money Shield ability and explains that 100 gold coins translates into 1 shield point, making it 1.81 billion coins. He notes with surprise the lack of recharge, calling it madness, while interacting with the holographic interface. He looks thoughtfully at the holographic screen and thinks about the new talents of the God of Fortune class and what will happen to the Beastmaster class. System windows with information about the Beast God Controller class and innate talents at level 1 are displayed against the sky. He is surprised to learn that his talent allows him to tame animals without limit and expresses admiration for this ability. He prays to the dragon gods, promising to follow their example, and thanks his ancestors for 8 generations, expressing admiration. He and the small companion stand in front of the knight at the entrance to the castle, designated as the level 30 test room. The knight asked Nightshao if he wanted to try his luck at the abyss level, to which he agreed. The entrance to the arch is suddenly illuminated with bright light and energy, creating the feeling of a powerful explosion or the opening of a portal. The knight wished good luck to Lord Nightshao, who responded with gratitude. He and a small companion with a flying dragon approach snow-capped mountains where a strong snowstorm is raging and smoke is visible. He tries to defend himself from a green dragon flying at him in snowy weather. He noticed a huge snow globe approaching and became wary. He quickly dodges a huge snowball that is rushing towards him at high speed. He asked why the other one didn't use a shield and dodged, to which he replied that he forgot about it. He is shocked when a huge snow demon with horns and a small dragon approach him in the snowy mountains. He called upon a dragon named Hu to show his fury, and he responded by shouting a battle cry in the sky against the backdrop of the mountains. A dragon releases a fiery breath at a warrior in a horned helmet who tries to defend himself with a raised hand. The winner received a notification that he had successfully destroyed the mutant white yeti on the snowy plain. He asks Lao Hui if he saw clearly that it would all end in one bite, to which he replies in the negative. The screen displays the characteristics and abilities of the mythical dragon Old Hui, demonstrating his strength and status as the supreme being of the dragon race. The image shows the Dragon Emperor's skill descriptions and the reaction of a character who thinks the character is too strong. He notices the sudden appearance of many monsters and is surprised by their number. He stands against the backdrop of mountains, and a small dragon flies nearby and roars. A dragon fires at a crowd of warriors preparing for battle against a backdrop of snow-capped mountains. He and his companions watch as the defeated monster falls from the sky, and a message appears about the victory over the King-tier Abyss Seeker. He mocks the King-tier level with a crystal, while the other one reminds him how badly he was defeated before. Several men discuss how one of them was captured by a dragon and returned, increasing Daxia's advantage, while another calls it impossible. He says with confidence that the character could not have died early, and his companion notes the hero's limitless potential, capable of passing the level 30 test. They are standing at a large building. One wants to go back to the city to meet an interesting person, and the other agrees and says that the real game will begin after subduing this person. He holds 2 crystals and asks how many fragments there are in total, while a knight in armor stands behind him. He examines the emerald stone and says that this rare stone will help strengthen his heroic emblem, which is only suitable for strong heroes. The knight told Lord Nightshao to be careful, to which he replied that they would see each other later. In Fenghe City, several people walk along the street between houses and a large tower. He notices that Fanny is becoming crowded, and she replies that he's been away for several days. A group of people approach a building. One offers to evaluate the equipment, and another is surprised by the large number of people around. An old man with glasses on his head looks down thoughtfully while a man in a cloak and a woman in armor stand at an arch marked First-Class Citizens. He looks at the ring with surprise, holding it in his hand and paying attention to it. A man with a beard joyfully greets another in a cloak, calling him the god of luck and inviting him in. They discuss the stranger. One asks who he is, another assumes he's a first-class citizen, and the third is indignant that he can skip the line. The young man in the hood asks the old man to help strengthen the found artifact, showing it in front of him. The master explains that the thing is very valuable, and he will be destroyed if he damages it, and the other asks what kind of object it is, to which he replies that it is just a poor emblem. He hits the hot metal on the anvil with a hammer, making a loud sound. Three characters are surprised by the appearance of a legendary heroic emblem, describing its powerful passive effects. He looks at the legendary item and doubts that it is a significant upgrade, while the other wonders if it is the famous Knight Xiao. He explains that he is not surprised that he was able to pass the Abyss level test, while two women listen attentively behind him. Several people argue and propose different conditions, and one calls on everyone to calm down and not interfere with the work of the store. He asked his boss to help him evaluate other items, to which he confidently replied that he would guarantee satisfaction. He is surprised that all the equipment is dark gold, another asks to sell a couple of pieces, and a third begs the owner to sell at least one or two, citing his father's wealth. He studies the object and gives the coordinates, and the three behind the door decisively declare that they are immediately returning to the city. One of them seeks the great Ye Xiao to become his disciple, while the other declares that he should be first, and they argue over who is worthy of being the disciple. He hides around the corner, and the little red satellite on his shoulder says that it looks like no one is watching them. He in a cloak says that being the center of attention is tiring, and another in armor listens to him outside the building. He asked the other person in the hood what he wanted. He explained that they did not want to cause harm, but came to discuss business matters with the man in the hood. He asked if the other wanted to buy dark gold rank equipment, to which the other replied that he could make an offer he couldn't refuse. The man in red talks about hundreds of billions of gold to the hooded man, while two others watch their conversation. He is wearing a hood and smiling, saying something confidently against the backdrop of trees and a blue sky. He said that the assassin was one of the best in his past life, did not join factions, and always acted alone. He said that seeing him dominate the rankings, he is confident of his great potential and future success. He in the hood wants to see how far his game will go, and the other one replies that he can give him money, status, and women if he keeps talking. The leader in red armor invites the hooded man to join them, expressing hope that he will choose. He thanks his brother for recognizing his skills and cooperation, expressing his gratitude for this. He said with fire in his hand that he didn't like the insolent behavior of his interlocutor, considering his youth. He asks in rage how the other dared to attack him while he was holding a flame in his hand. He attacks the enemy with a fireball, causing heavy damage, and the enemy screams in pain, in response to which he hears that he talks too much. The masked man ordered no movement and banned killings in the main city, while others asked if he had really killed the young master. He says that the money and equipment on Earth are their compensation, warning not to follow the other, as he has no future. He exclaimed that someone was fighting, and it was shameless, while the other two were looking in the direction of the noise. Surrounded by knights with drawn weapons, a cloaked man orders everyone to remain still, while three others watch the proceedings. He is wearing armor with horns on his helmet and asks in surprise if his interlocutor has gone crazy. He admitted that it was him, and was surprised by his interlocutor's calmness after the murder, noting his courage. He, in armor with horns on his helmet, asks in surprise, not understanding why he is called a first-class citizen. He explained that someone had threatened him, so he had punished the offender, and his interlocutor was surprised that the tramp had dared to insult a first-class person. The warrior in armor asked not to get his hands dirty and let them handle the situation, while the other replied that it was a small help and not to worry. Three men discuss the possibility of something. One of them asks in surprise if this is also possible. The armored commander orders the soldiers to disperse, loudly saying, "Dismiss." He asked why he hadn't been arrested, and his interlocutor replied that the shooters needed to be more careful, and repeated this more than once. The man in the cloak tells the knights that the Duchess is mad because she is looking for someone, and offers to report this for a promotion, to which one of the knights agrees. The image shows a building with domes and crosses labeled as the Duke's Mansion. She sits in a chair and asks if she's being bullied. She asked why there was still no news about Ye Xiao. She runs to the seated man and tells him the news about Lord Ye Xiao, to which he responds in surprise. She asks with a smile where he is now. 4 people are discussing at a fountain in the square. One asks why the other did not act against an enemy who killed a man in the main city. He admitted that he lost his composure because of the high level of his opponent, and the other promised to soon show him his real place in the game. He explains the situation, and the man in the mask confirms that he understands. There is a third person standing nearby. They noticed that someone above them said that they hadn't taken their gear, but it looked like they didn't need it anymore, and one of them cried out in response. He stands on the tower and asks what the other is doing, warning about the tight security in the spawn area. The image shows a glowing magical staff emitting a bright light and surrounded by a glowing circle in the sky. He picked up the object and said that if the root was not removed, the grass would grow again with the spring wind. He releases a stream of fire from his hand, causing the enemy to cry out in pain. 3 people stand around a woman in red lying on the ground, one of them holding a sword ready for action. He, holding a staff with a cross, declared that it did not matter to him whether he killed one or many. 3 support Ye Xiao, who rises in a blaze of light, while the 4th calls out his name in alarm. He warns not to go too far, threatening to kill his family and friends if anything happens to him. He, with a staff on a dais, says that the threat means nothing to him, and the other, struck by the light, screams in pain. A man reports that Great Ye Xiao is killing someone in the spawn area, while another man complains that it's crazy to kill there. One of them exclaimed, "Master!" and the other explained that the young master had not been reborn but had been forced to leave the game. A judge in a black robe commanded to find out who dared to kill here, standing before a group of knights in armor. A warrior warns that even the strong Ye Xiao will not escape the black judge's judgment, while another notes that he is indeed in trouble. He thinks he has attracted the attention of the black-robed judge and realizes that at this level, fighting him directly would be a big mistake. One man confessed that he had killed a man and would go with another, to which the other replied that it was reasonable. The warrior in armor ordered a retreat, and the man in the dark cloak and his companions watched him. The image shows a row of large houses with balconies and stairs, surrounded by greenery, with no visible characters. The man with the cane asked what happened to his man, and the other one with white hair began to answer. He is furious and demands to know who killed his son and wants the entire family of the culprit to die along with him. The Dragon Phoenix Empire Court asks Ye Xiao why he broke the law by killing in the Fengi rebirth zone. He explains that the man brought a group to stalk and threaten him. The judge orders silence and sentences Ye Xiao to lifelong exile from the Eastern District for murder, forbidding him to return there. He explains to the judge that Ye Xiao killed a vagabond who insulted his dignity, and it was a justified action. The judges react with surprise. She asks if the punishment is too harsh, standing between 2 guards in the Great Hall. He says that Eider sends his regards. She says that Ye Xiao is her friend and asks Eider not to treat him unfairly. He acknowledged the hasty verdict and referred to Fengi's law, and she suggested removing Mr. Ye Xiao's handcuffs. She states that Ye Xiao is innocent and asks if they can leave while he and the knight stand nearby. He turns to Layla, telling her that everything is fine as they stand in a large hall with columns. He thanks Layla. She replies that he saved his skin again, and then modestly says that it was nothing. She says that she heard about his capture by a dragon and sent people to look for him, and he replies that he was captured by 2 dragons, but it turned out to be a blessing and he received things. She invited him to come home and tell her about all his adventures, and he tenderly kissed her hand in response. He was surprised and she confirmed the truth. Then he asked if Mr. Steer remained in the mansion. She was surprised that he had already reached level 30 so quickly and asked about it. He muses out loud that it is no wonder that someone with enough spiritual strength would quickly rise in rank, and admits his feelings of inferiority to the other 2 in the large room. He said that the owner was too modest, but he needed to consult about the second-class mission. The man with the mustache explains that even traveling across the continent, one cannot find a clear answer, because the realm of the gods is too mysterious, and another listens to him. The man asks if Xiao can receive a second-class quest, to which she replies that she needs to earn the gods' recognition, and the third clarifies that it is about the lost temple. The man with the mustache is surprised that the other knows about the lost temple, and the other replies that he has heard of it but does not know the location, noting its importance in the apocalypse. She admires the wisdom and knowledge of Ye Xiao, who stands behind her, and he listens to her story about the accidental appearance of the lost temple. He accepted the quest to find the lost temple, and the creature on his shoulder warns that the next stage will be difficult. Layla asked Ye Xiao to find her after the case, to which he agreed, and then they began to discuss where to look for the lost temple. He says there is something more important, and explains that tomorrow the first strange invasion in Apocalypse will begin, and the frog on his shoulder is surprised. He asked about the strange invasion, and the other replied that the gates to another world would open, and many strange creatures would rise from the abyss. The monster warns that all creatures in the main city of Fengye will be destroyed and the buildings destroyed, while other terrible creatures gather around it. He holds a small creature and says that it is impossible to protect all the property in the city, and to fight these creatures, he remembers one person. He activates a glowing portal while standing on the street in front of a building with windows. She sits on a chair and says that every time he looks for her, it's never good. She asked if this was another unlucky dragon nest, and he replied that there were no dragons this time, and they would remain in Fengye City. She asks him to guard her property in the Western District from midnight, and he smirks and suggests beating up the city lord if there's danger there. She asked if he was trying to deceive her, and he replied that they had known each other for a long time, and there was no need to doubt it. He says that Tao's sister should come on time, and she congratulates him on another successful trick, while a creature in a suit stands nearby. He explains that it is all for the good of Tao's sister, and the second agrees skeptically, after which the first decides to use the remaining time to prepare for the strange invasion. The messages talk about the violation of the law by an unknown person, the need for identity verification in the game Apocalypse, and the call for players to support this demand and cooperate. He sits on the couch and thinks that the noise is being made to reveal his identity and decides to rest as the night may be long. He is surprised that already in the game, before he could fall asleep, she gets lost due to forced entry, and the other complains that he can't get out and is afraid to play for 9 hours straight. He asks what's going on, and the other explains that as long as the monsters don't enter the village, everything will be fine and it's better to stay inside. He sits on a chair and notes that Sister Tao is punctual as always while she yawns standing next to him. She assures that as long as she is around, not a single stone or tile will be lost, and he listens to her with a smile. A bright purple lightning flashes over the city, creating a tense atmosphere. He asks Sister Tao to put a buff on him, and she asked in surprise what exactly. Dark creatures surround a bright purple blade, and someone reports that it is a strange invasion. Dark winged creatures and monsters with glowing eyes emerge from the purple portal, preparing to attack. The warrior shouts an invasion and raises the alert level, ordering the mages to man the walls while the rest prepare to defend the city. In the ruined city, people scream and run from the demon. One of them warns the others, "Run!" He says that the level of the creatures does not scare him, but if it increases, it will be dangerous, and convinces Sister Tao to believe in herself, reminding her that she is a divine sorceress. He noted that they were facing a level 100 boss, and she admitted that she had fallen into his trap while looking at the giant creature. She states that he is not looking for her for an easy task as they stand on the pavement with weapons in their hands. The image shows a powerful energy strike with the inscription 5 heavenly lightnings, accompanied by bright lightning and a speed effect. She raised her staff, summoning a fire giant who stood before her, surrounded by flames and energy. He admires that Sister Tao destroyed the Lord's boss with one blow while the ruined city burns in the background. A huge robot with horns stands in the middle of a burning city, and someone is surprised by the appearance of more and more flying elite bosses. She speaks indignantly, and he confirms her words with a smile, standing against the backdrop of a burning landscape. He calls Xiao Hui to fight a flying dragon against the backdrop of a burning city. A huge monster roars as it attacks a castle where people react in panic to the threat and the fire all around them. One of them shouts not to let the enemies get closer, and another warns that he can no longer hold out while the third stands with a weapon. A message appears on the screen about defeating a strange elite boss, while a creature with an open mouth stands against the backdrop of fire and a ruined castle. He looks with alarm at the landing dragon, which makes a loud sound. He warns of an approaching wave of enemies and orders Xiao Hui to attack quickly, while the monsters roar and prepare for battle. He fights a dragon and giant creatures, receiving notifications when he defeats an elite and normal boss. He confidently says that killing bosses is the fastest way to level up. He assigned her to protect the Western District, while he and Xiao Hui were going to hunt bosses, to which she replied that she wanted more money, but agreed. He stands amidst the destruction, watching the flying dragon, and notices that the enemies even dropped epic-level items. He looks at the ring with the not-yet-identified effect with a smile, approving of Xiao Hui's actions and urging him to kill more bosses. Several people are running in panic from strange monsters. One begs for salvation, another is afraid of death, and the third promises to fight them for his sister. A warrior with a shield deflects a blow from a huge monster with purple eyes, making a sound of pain. 4 people stand outside at night. 1 fights with a shield, 2 discuss the wind and the storm, and the third watches what is happening. He says to take Xiaoyu and the others, promising to distract the enemy for 5 seconds when he hears the cry of storm. A man screams at the boss to go and not to worry as a huge monster deals him a powerful blow. The man in green asks if Storm is okay while the other 2 try to wake him up from where he is lying on the ground. 2 people look at a huge monster. One of them asks if they will all die, and the creature replies that there is no hope. The beast takes a powerful fire hit, and the damage is displayed as negative 7,985. He is surprised to see the monster boss seriously injured and fall to the ground. He looks at the flying dragon and assumes that it might be a baby. 2 dragons fight in the air, creating powerful whirlwinds, while 3 stone giants watch the battle. The dragon attacks with beams of fire, burning the stone giant, who tries to defend himself from the blow. He remarked on the dragon's incredible strength, while another hopefully asked if God had heard his prayers as she smiled next to him. He tells Xiao Hui that there seem to be more bosses there, while the dragon and other characters are seen in the background. The 3 characters are surprised to confirm that the person in front of them is indeed the great Ye Xiao. One of them called out to Ye Xiao, asking him to wait, to which he responded with a question while a small dragon flew nearby. The 3 thank Ye Xiao for saving him and promise to help him if necessary, even at the cost of their lives. He said that the western area is now relatively safer, and suggested going there if he didn't want to hunt bosses, to which the interlocutor agreed. They discuss. One says that if he were a woman, he would have a child with someone. Another replies that he is too ugly for this, and the third orders to collect equipment and go to the western region. He told Xiao Hui that fighting monsters was a waste of time while the dragon was releasing fire. He tells Xiao Hui that they need to go to the city gates where the real battle of the strange invasion is taking place. A fire is raging in the city, houses are burning and smoke is rising into the sky. Destruction is everywhere, but there are no people in the streets. The 3 discuss the safety of the Western District. One of them wonders why Great Ye Xiao is patrolling outside the city if it is safe here. She points to the side, warning of danger, and he listens with tension and worries. The heroes discuss Ye Xiao suddenly reaching level 35, wondering how quickly he leveled up and how many bosses he had to kill to do so. She asked in surprise what the bright fiery object was that was falling from the sky while the 2 men watched it. A fiery meteor falls rapidly on the city, causing destruction and flames all around. He stands at the main gate of Fengye and states that a real massacre has taken place, watching the destroyed and burning city. He looks at the huge skeleton king and thinks that the level 100 boss will be difficult for him alone. He reports that the wall at the main gate is destroyed and that the archers and healers are unable to cope, and asks Lord Ader to give the order to retreat from the front lines. The warrior in armor orders a retreat, and the other 2 agree with his decision. He stands at the wall of the fortress and reacts in surprise to the sudden flashes of lightning in the sky. The 3 warriors rejoice at the appearance of a god-level expert. One of them orders his brothers to attack, expressing confidence in salvation. She reproaches him for the panicked call and hints at killing the boss, and he smiles, acknowledging her sharp mind and asking for help with the plan. She notices the strange level 100 boss with alarm and admits that she wouldn't even dare to fight him. He smiles and says something to the pink-haired girl who looks worried. He said that his sister would give him a buff before she left, and she agreed, after which he replied that it was perfect. He asks his sister, as a divine sorceress, to clear the way for the boss fight, and she agrees to open the way. A monster with horns and sharp teeth is surrounded by fiery energy and is preparing to attack. He watches as she raises her staff, causing fiery blasts to incinerate the 2 giant creatures in front of them. He admires Sister Tao's strength as the fiery battle with the stone creature rages around them. He says that with her help the city will be saved, and she orders to take people and defend the northern side, leaving the rest to them. Odin informs Ader of the attack on the Lord Boss, who orders everyone to retreat to the northern zone under Lady Dorothy's orders. A skeleton wearing a horned helmet is surrounded by flying shadows and emits a purple glow against a backdrop of rain and darkness. She and he stand in front of a giant creature, preparing for battle against a backdrop of mountains and fire. He smiles and assures that he will not die, and the little creature on his shoulder listens attentively. A helmeted skeleton with an axe emits a purple glow and makes ominous sounds as it prepares to attack against a burning landscape. She creates a protective shield, reflecting attacks, and orders someone to quickly dodge. He holds the medallion with a smile and a drop of sweat on his face and begins to speak to Tao's sister. He shouts the spell, "Brutal Massacre," raising his hand with a magical artifact surrounded by a fiery aura. He fights a giant skeleton by directing a powerful energy beam from his hand at the enemy. A skeleton in a golden helmet with an axe is surrounded by purple energy, accompanied by inscriptions about a brutal execution and instant death. He stands in front of a living skeleton with a weapon that emits an ominous laugh. He listens with a smile as the creature on his shoulder expresses surprise that a boss of such a level was defeated in one blow. A global announcement appears on the screen, stating that player Ye Xiao has successfully killed a level 100 boss and reached level 40. He is surprised by the Grandmaster's strength and suggests going to Ye Xiao, while the other replies that he doesn't accept everyone and decides to create a fan club. The image shows epic items, a shield, a staff, and burning stones, the effects of which have not yet been identified. He holds a glowing staff and says that the rewards for the Lord-class boss are much higher than other monsters. He and the red-skinned creature discuss an artifact lying on the surface in front of them. He holds up a glowing artifact and notes that the rewards for this strange invasion are better than those for completing the legendary quest. The monsters with wings and tails retreat, and one of them happily reports that they survived. 3 people celebrate victory after a strange invasion. One says it's over. The other exults in his survival. The governor asks Turn to help him get up and prevent the strange creatures from entering the city, and he reminds him that an hour has passed since the invasion ended. The king explains that while he was unconscious, with the help of Lord Ye Xiao and Lady Dorothy, the attack was repelled, and the city is now being rebuilt. The governor expressed surprise at the talent that saved the city and instructed Thorn to arrange a meeting with Ye Xiao, to which he agreed to carry out the order immediately. The king and the woman invite the two to enter, and he thanks them for the invitation. The king thanks Ye Xiao for saving Fengyi, who modestly replies that it was he who personally destroyed the main enemy. He said that she was exaggerating again, and a message appeared on the screen about receiving respect and the title Friend of Fengyi with an increase in Aaron's sympathy. The king addresses Dorothy, and the young man confidently explains something, standing next to her. Layla asked the governor why he had called her, and he explained that half the city had been destroyed and asked to provide real estate in the Western District. The king announces that the Western District belongs to Ye Xiao, and he is surprised at such an owner while Ye Xiao stands between them. He said he didn't mind if the price was fair, and the creature on his shoulder warned him that he was going to cash out again. The king suggests that they immediately prepare gold coins, but he replies that since the governor is so straightforward, he will simply continue. The king asks the girl to tell him, and she replies that the incident in the city of Fengyi has already been reported to the queen. He said he had decided to ask the royal family to grant Ye Xiao a noble title. He asks with a smile if there is any new good news, and the creature on his shoulder replies that he is indeed lucky. The king supported the decision. The woman asked Ye Xiao for his opinion, and he thought about the duchess's unexpected sympathy for the young man. The king thanks him for saving the city, and she replies that she must thank him on behalf of Fengyi. Someone shouts from outside, demanding that Zhou Hong answer and stop joking. She sits on the couch with her phone and warns that she will soon get angry, adding that Zhou Hong cannot die. The phone screen shows the two lying on the ground, and the voice accuses Zhou Hong of being useless and unable to defeat the strange monster. She tensely says that she made a mistake in trusting Zhou Hong and blames him for her troubles, holding the phone in her hand. She says that if she sincerely apologizes, they can return everything to the way it was before. She walks down a dark street between tall buildings under a night sky with twinkling stars. He decided to find a way to go to Fengyi tomorrow after entering, since other places are dangerous, and the other agreed to go and suggested creating a group for safety. Several people argue over the price of a house, offering 5,000 and 10,000 gold coins, while a man in a cloak marvels at the influx of people into Fengyi City. The man asked Ye Xiao what his purpose was, to which he replied that he came to forge and identify equipment. He points anxiously at the ruins and ponders what is happening. A man with a beard listens attentively as another man speaks thoughtfully, expressing surprise. He asked what this place was, and he invited me inside. A man in a cloak is surprised by the luxury of the forge and asks the blacksmith who owns the shop. The old man offered the young man to become the owner of the store, and he replied that it was his property, and he just happened to be there, after which the old man expressed his gratitude. He says to start by identifying the equipment and asks if the person can successfully identify the object he is holding. The old man admitted that he was not sure about the possibility of identifying the artifact, and the young man replied that he could try. Master says that since Mr. Ye Xiao trusts him so much, he will do his best, and the other one is watching him at the forge. Bearded man can't maintain identification. Spell young man asks if it's really that hard. He explained that no one had been able to identify the artifact before, and the other suggested starting with 3 epic items, to which the other agreed. The guard said that the governor was very busy and could not receive, demanding that the person standing at the gate leave immediately. The guard informed Ye Xiao that the governor was in the office and allowed him to enter, to which he agreed. The guard said that the governor was very busy and could not receive them, so he had to leave immediately. He asked if the governor was there, to which one of the guards replied that he was in the office and allowed him to pass. The governor was surprised by Lord Ye Xiao's unexpected visit and asked if he needed help, to which he replied that he wanted to get straight to the point and find the lost race. The old man explains that the lost race disappeared 100 years ago, and he replies that he must still try to find them. He announces a reward of 5 million gold coins and 3 pieces of dark gear to the governor for finding the lost race. The governor says that he will immediately issue a reward, and Lord Ye Xiao thanks him for it. The talkers report that the great Ye Xiao has leveled up again and is leveling up again. A man with a mustache is surprised that the great Ye Xiao has passed the level 40 trial, while another notes that his leveling should slow down now. He stands in front of a huge monster that jumps at him with its mouth and claws open. He parries a powerful blow, crossing his arms in front of him in concentration. The green dragon spews fire into the sky, accompanied by a loud sound. The huge creature radiates power and fire, creating an impressive and dangerous atmosphere around itself. He says that thanks to the money shield, another was saved from death while standing next to the fallen giant creature. A dragon with a crown on its head flies in the sky, ready to attack or defend. He examines the glowing fragment and says that this is already the 4th fragment. He reads a system message from Aaron asking him to come to his house urgently, as there is news about what he was looking for. A man clenches his fist and rejoices in his wealth. Another talks about the lost race and the need to inform the great Ye Xiao. A woman stands behind them. The king allowed the black-haired man to explain the situation while standing next to the knight in armor. The knight reported to Li Han about a group of strange dwarves in the forest outside the city, to which he asked if they were really that close to Fengie. The warrior thanks Lord Ye Xiao for saving him during the strange invasion, and he demands to take him there immediately without further ado. The knight offers Ye Xiao to send additional soldiers, but he replies that he can handle it alone. In the forest, 2 armed men lead a group of large creatures that follow them silently and menacingly. The 2 men discuss a plan to capture the dwarf alive and share the reward and spoils from the great Ye Xiao, agreeing to cooperate. He looks away thoughtfully, lost in his thoughts. He hit the other one on the head with a hammer, dealing 80 damage, and noted with a grin that it was ridiculously small. 2 people stand in the shadows, watching as lightning damages a hammer hanging in the fire between them. He is surprised with his sword at the 87,231 damage in 1 hit, and the other 2 discuss how these gnomes are not at all like humans and are too strong. One of them is angry at people, another reminds them that they shouldn't have walked through their territory, and the third asks them to calm down. Several men discuss how, if it weren't for their tribe, he would have destroyed the enemies, while another suggests leaving quickly. One of them informed Lord Ye Xiao that they were close, and he agreed to continue moving. The 2 men noticed great Ye Xiao approaching and expressed their anticipation that it would be interesting. The night and he go into the forest, he suggests going straight inside to find out what kind of power they have there. A group of people go into the forest. One of them says that the gnomes are very temperamental and cause a lot of damage, and the other one claims that he knows what he is doing. He says that the task is completed and keeps the rest for himself, and the knight confirms that he understood, while criticizing the little creature for his courage. 2 bearded men prepare to fight an approaching man, threatening to crush him. He speaks with a serious expression about the importance of the upcoming events against the backdrop of a green forest and blue sky. He, with a frog on his shoulder, reflects that this man seems nice and does not want to break him anymore. Two men with beards discuss the strong smell of divine artifacts coming from someone and confirm that there are several of them. Two men discuss how someone might have power greater than divine artifacts, and one notices a familiar but faint smell. He suddenly realizes that he is smelling the fragrance and aura of a great deity, recalling this with surprise and excitement. He watches through binoculars and is surprised by the stranger's low level and characteristics, while the other notes his incredibly high spiritual power. He is amazed by the spiritual power with binoculars and says that this man is truly blessed by the gods. He wonders why the opponents are not fighting, and the other wonders why they were defeated, but not Ye Xiao. He sarcastically accuses the dwarves of hypocrisy, and one of the women remarks that he always has a trick, and another comments that this will be a sensation on the news. The two men asked who he was and what he was doing there, to which he replied that he had come to ask Ye Xiao for help. He explained that he was looking for a lost temple, and the two men asked why he was interested in the place. He explains that the path lies through a lost temple, to which another asks if this is a quest to upgrade his class, and a third warns of the need to prove righteousness. He smiles and says it's complicated, and the creature on his shoulder asks him to help identify the artifact. The man with the beard demands to see the artifact, and the other replies that the blacksmith could not identify it and doubts its identity. Two men discuss the superiority of dwarven craftsmen over blacksmiths, and one asks to see the product for inspection. He said the item didn't look like a fake, and another asked him what he meant as they discussed the find in the woods. He explains that the item is not forged, but a natural artifact formed by the fusion of elemental forces and is of very high quality. The two men asked him where he got the item from, and he replied that he got it by defeating a boss during a strange invasion a few days ago. Two warriors are surprised to learn that he visited the realm of the gods and killed the boss, and he asks first to answer if he can identify the object. Two men discuss that they can do it, although it will be expensive, and wonder if the other can pay for it. He asks with a smile how much it costs, and the red frog sitting on his shoulder doubtfully notes that this guy seems to be about to do something. The man with the beard said that it was at least a little, and the other was surprised and asked what exactly. He looks ahead with a serious expression, as if preparing for an important event. He is surprised by the price of 500, and the creature on his shoulder asks if it is too much or too little. The man with the beard said that at least 300 gold coins were needed, and the other promised to pay 1,000,000 if the artifact could be identified. They discuss the 1,000,000 gold coins with amazement and wonder how much rice they can buy. One of the men says he left 1,000 gold coins and will send food later as they stand by the money bags in the forest. Two dwarves enthusiastically offer to bring the artifact so that he can immediately identify it, expressing impatience and a thirst for gold. A bearded man announces success in forging while another eats nearby, watching the process. He admires the skill of the dwarves and is surprised by the description of the artifact, holding the horn of the god of destruction in his hands. The bearded man asked when they would receive payment for the identified artifact, while the other one examined it closely. He asks if the other wants to bring them to the human city, to which he replies that he will throw a feast and give them work with artifacts. One of the dwarves announces to pack their things and go to the main human city to celebrate, while the other expresses surprise that he will be able to have fun there. He drew attention by saying, "Hey, look," while the other two looked intently in the same direction against the backdrop of medieval buildings. A group of men discuss Lord Ye Xiao bringing the dwarf race, and one of them calls him a real professional. He expressed doubt, but suggested using the situation to ask the dwarves to make good equipment for them, to which the knight agreed that it might work. He says with surprise that he has never eaten such delicious food before, admiring the abundance of dishes on the table. Two men eat meat at a table with food, and the knight reports that all expenses are paid by Lord Ye Xiao. He asked Thor to tell him about the lost temple, and he agreed without any problems, continuing to eat. The bearded man explains that the device will help find the lost temple, but advises to forget about this idea, to which the other asks why. A man with a beard warns another that it is better to abandon the idea of finding the fire temple, explaining that it is possible, but with difficulties. He asked what kind of creature it was, and his interlocutor replied that even the gnomes had never seen it. He explains that the ancestors have warned all generations of dwarves to stay away from the fire temple. He explained that the fire temple was important for his class change, so he had to go in response to the bearded man's words. He asked what it was, and the other explained that it was a temple detector that would go off when you approached it. He holds a compass in his hand and speaks of the spirit of fire. He holds a red crystal in his hands and notes that the quality of the dwarves' product is excellent. The description and effect of the fire spirit crystal appears on the screen. He offered to pay in gold for the crystal, but the other replied that he only had one. He carefully examines several red crystals in his hands, intently studying their properties. He shows a magic crystal with a fire spirit, explaining its effect and properties, and the other listens attentively and holds the object in his hand. He said he would figure it out himself and wished everyone a bon appetit, and two wished him luck. He explains that he must go to change classes despite the risk, but he cannot go alone, and the creature nearby expresses displeasure. She said thoughtfully, while standing in a blue dress. She stands in front of the mirror and thinks about how she needs to look so that no one will recognize her. The knight announces that someone is approaching, turning to Lady Dorothy, who stands with her hand on her hip, listening. She said with irritation that he only appears in problematic situations, and he stands there smiling, with a small creature sitting on his shoulder. He asked if it was a dragon or a scary boss this time, and she said she didn't look like someone who was constantly fighting. He demanded that she stop evading, and said that she was definitely hiding something, and she replied that she was just going to go to the fire temple. She is shocked and indignant, asking if anyone really wants to provoke God, and declares that it is over. He asks Tao not to be so strict, saying that the reward is negotiable, and she replies that there will be no negotiations, and he does not know where to find treasures in the fire temple. He suspects her of cheating with the compass and does not believe her words, standing opposite her in a room with a bookcase and a table. She was surprised that it was really from the dwarves and said that the temple was connected to the gods, so she did not want to die meaninglessly, asking why he wanted to go there. She asked for a week to prepare, but he replied that there was no time and that he would leave alone if she did not go with him. He says they haven't even discussed his payment, and she replies that there is a lot of treasure in the fire temple and suggests that she think about it while he leaves. She tries to stop him, reminding him that without her protection, he wouldn't even get through the entrance. The image shows a lava-blazed volcanic landscape with the ruins of ancient arches against a backdrop of mountains and a lava lake. He and she are walking through a lava field, and he says he is tired after 2 days of walking and asks if the dwarves have tricked them. He notices that the compass is reacting more strongly and says that the target must be nearby, while the girl and the creature on his shoulder watch him. He stands on volcanic ground with a small creature on his shoulder, watching a huge flying fish among fiery sparks and lava. He vows never to eat fried crocodile again, as long as a woman with a staff and a frog-headed creature stand behind him. She raises her staff and says that she will cool the giant creature frozen in the crystal hovering before her. He slams into the ice shards, shattering them into pieces. A group of creatures fall into hot lava against the backdrop of a burning volcano. She asks anxiously if there really are that many of them. She speaks with concern, and he looks at his hand, from which blood is dripping. She and he stand in front of a glowing portal as flying creatures with glowing eyes appear around them. Surrounded by lava and strange creatures stands an ancient portal with a bright vortex inside. He was surprised to learn that these were the gates of the fire temple, to which she confirmed, and the little creature admitted that it was the first time he had seen them. She warns them that they are under attack as he prepares to fight the incoming flying creatures. She uses the move 5 Thunder Strike, attacking with fire strikes from 2 giant snakes. He creates a protective energy shield while standing against a volcanic landscape with lava and smoke. He orders Sister Tao to give him a boost and cover him to break through the enemies. She defiantly demands payment, holding flying beetles in her hands. He dodges the fire beams that hit him and is surprised that even with the fire spirit crystal, he is taking so much damage, and a voice warns him to run or else he will burn. He runs towards the building, dodging the fire attacks of the flying creatures that damage him, and screams in pain. He shouts with determination that no one, not even the gods, can stop him. He stands at a glowing spiral-shaped portal and exclaims in surprise. He stands in an abandoned temple and notices its desolation. The guard demands that the stranger name the target, and he reacts with surprise. He stands among the ruins of the temple and says that he came to explore them. The dark warrior with red eyes says that the intruder needs his blessing to awaken his potential and orders him to kneel. She asks if the change requires a blessing and commands compliance, promising to grant her protection and blessing. He suspects the statue, and the red frog sitting on his shoulder warns him about the suspicious nature of the object. The character with red eyes exclaims that worshipping the great god of fire and crafts, Hephaestus, is the highest honor one can receive. A warrior in armor with a hammer orders you to immediately show sincerity and kneel down. He takes damage from fire attacks and is outraged that a living person is being offended by some statues. He defiantly declared that he also had a divine artifact, despite the fact that the opponent could be a god. He is surprised that the dragon named Xiao Hui came out on his own. He calls the dragon Xiao Hu to return by attacking him with a glowing weapon at the pillars. He takes heavy damage from the dragon's fiery breath as it attacks him from above. He asks with concern whether the dragon's hatred of the gods has penetrated. A mechanical warrior with golden armor accuses a man of disobeying his will and warns him of a grave mistake, while a dragon flies nearby. He dodged a powerful fire blast that destroyed part of the wall and screamed in surprise. He anxiously asks if the other man is really the god of fire and admits that he has no chance in a fight with a god. He shouts that Hephaestus deserves to die, and the other asks in confusion what is going on. He stands on the edge of the collapsed floor and exclaims in surprise when he notices a gaping hole with fire below. He falls down among the rubble and exclaims that the temple begins to shake. He falls into a fiery stream, losing a large amount of gold, and screams about his loss. He fell with force, screaming in pain, and a message appeared on the screen about the loss of a large amount of gold. He stands in a hall with columns and is surprised, asking what this fiery creature is in front of him. The firebird called the immortal divine phoenix is surrounded by chains and flames, and above it is displayed unknown information about its level and characteristics. He ponders the terrible creature mentioned by Thor, and the firebird asks if he was the one who broke the statue of Hephaestus. He reflects on the eternal conflict between the fire god and the phoenix, confirming information he heard earlier. The firebird warns to leave, otherwise there will be problems with the arrival of Hephaestus.